Most people in the free world are well aware that romantic relations between men and women have never been more screwed up. Everybody knows this. I'm not breaking news here. Now, men handle this in one of a few different ways. They either stick their heads in the sand and continue to do the things they've been doing, hoping it will eventually work, completely check out and not have anything to do with women romantically or otherwise, or they find this community and learn how to become successful with women in this environment. Now, there are also men who take extreme measures like ending themselves, ending other people, and a lot of times it's both. These are your outlier situations like Elliot Rodger, Alec Manassian, Nicholas Cruz, and so forth. But by and large, most men remain willfully ignorant, stop talking to girls altogether, or take the crimson capsule. Women, on the other hand, pretty much handle it the same way across the board. They cry and complain, but don't change anything. They lie, they cheat, they behave poorly, and make no attempt to improve themselves as women. Then turn around and ask, where have all the good men gone? After having spent 10 plus years sleeping around. Now, as a side note here, say what you will about the dudes who are going in another direction, but at least they've found a solution they feel works best for them. So for better or worse, men tend to seek out solutions, while women seek to complain and expect the environment to change in order to suit their needs and wants. Every woman out there has these fantasies of the perfect relationship with a guy they respect and love. But contrary to popular belief, women don't really expect perfection. They may act like they do, but at the end of the day, they know there's no such thing as the perfect guy. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of women out there who have dumped guys for insignificant reasons because they really are looking for Mr. Perfect. I'd even go as far as to say most women have dumped a guy they knew they had no business dumping because of something trivial in hopes of finding that perfect guy. Even still, most women are well aware of the fact that even the best men out there have their faults, weaknesses, and frailties. And if the pros outweigh the cons, they are willing to give a guy an honest try. But here's the problem. While most women know how to get and keep a man's attention, they are grossly unaware of how to get and keep a man's trust. Here's a bigger problem. They have no idea that they have to proactively gain a man's trust. They are utterly clueless that men in demand do not trust them when they first meet them. Most women foolishly think that all they have to do is tell a guy that they're faithful, trustworthy, and honest, and men of value will simply believe it because it came out of their mouths. Another misconception that women have of high-value men is that they don't have to earn his trust. They believe that these men abide by the foolish notion, I'll trust anyone until they give me a reason not to. And unfortunately for women, they end up finding out the hard way when a guy they could see themselves being with for a long time ends up leaving them for what they assume is for no apparent reason. And because they have absolutely no idea that the reason he left in the first place is because she did nothing to earn his trust, she takes those same habits into the next relationship and makes the same mistakes and gets the same results. Women already know that high-value men want obedient, submissive women who are in good shape, can cook, clean, never deny them bedroom fun, don't disrespect them in public or private, and so forth. But what women these days seem to be clueless about is how to gain a man's trust and then keep it, or that it's even necessary to proactively do this without being told. They think that if they look good, cook good, and give him the booty anytime he wants, that's enough to secure commitment from him. They also seem to be clueless about the fact that high-value men are well aware of how easy it is for women to cheat, and this is exactly why they assume that men automatically trust them based on their word alone. So today, Uncle Donovan is going to tell women what they need to do to gain a man's trust so that he will want to commit to her long-term. Now, before I get started, let me quickly remind you that if you have a question or a comment pertaining to dating, relationships, or anything else that applies to dominating life as a man here in the 2020s, call the TSR hotline at 702-919-7197. Just leave your question or comment at the beep, and I will read and answer the best ones live on the air during the 7, Weights and Dates with Myron Gaines, or on my solo shows. You'll get multiple perspectives, opinions, and sage advice from experienced men. You also need to make sure you get your hands on my free ebook, 16 Ways to Immediately Disqualify Her for a Long-Term Relationship. This ebook is a guide for men who are back on the dating market after a divorce, a bad breakup, or any number of frustrating situations that led you to this community in the first place. This book will make it nearly impossible for bad girls to fool you into thinking that they're good girls. The book is absolutely free when you sign up for my newsletter. Go to donovansharp.com/newsletter, plug in your very best email and the book is yours. Okay, let's get back to talking about the 5 things that 99.9% of women would never do to earn a man's trust. Now let's get one thing straight here. Every woman wants to be in a long-term relationship with a man they respect and love. That is always their end game. They can talk all they want to about sleeping around to get it out of their system, but the truth is, no woman wants to be sleeping with 6 guys. They only want to be sleeping with one. Even if she is sleeping with 6 guys, she only wants to be with one of them long-term. That's the guy who gets the consistent fellatio and gets to go backdoor. He's the guy who gets the very best treatment. Here's the hard truth, ladies. If a man of value doesn't trust you, he is not going to get into a relationship with you, and that's all there is to it. He may sleep with you for a little while, and he may even take you on a trip or 2. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't trust you 100%, he will not commit. Better than 99% of women who hear this are going to laugh at all of this stuff. These are the women who are going to say, "No way I would ever do this stuff. Donovan's full of it. He's out of his mind." That is perfectly fine with me. These women are simply showing myself and other men of value that they're simply not ready to be in a long-term relationship of consequence with a man in demand. And that's okay. But for the 0.1% who has a feeling this stuff is necessary, keep listening. Now, as for the men watching, it is very important to understand that women aren't going to do this stuff for just anybody. She has to know that you are the real deal. You have to be confident, masculine, and demand her best. She also has to trust your judgment. Know that you have the ability to keep her in line and the ability to protect her from herself. So ladies, you've got your guy, you know he's the genuine article, and you see potential. So here are 5 necessary things that 99.9% of women would never do to earn a man's trust. Fair warning, this is going to sound extreme to most people, men and women alike. But men in demand these days know that the technology available to women in the palm of their hands makes cheating and not getting caught almost too easy. So let's get started. Number 1, check in every few hours with a picture and a text. In order for a man of value to trust you, he has to know where you are, what you're doing, and who you're doing it with. The reason I know that this is necessary is because I've been the other man. I've slept with plenty of wives and girlfriends who tell me, "Oh, he'll never find out. He doesn't ask me where I am or what I'm doing half the time anyway." One wife used an absolutely diabolical technique to get away with cheating with me. But before I tell you guys this story, spare me the moralistic narrative. Miss me with the, "Oh, Donovan, you shouldn't sleep with wives or girlfriends." And to that, I say go bleep yourself. Seriously, go bleep yourself. I got news for you. If a woman wants to cheat, she gon' cheat. If she doesn't sleep with you, she is going to sleep with someone else, so it may as well be you. Also, there's no such thing as karma, so spare me with all the karma nonsense. You're being a coward and hiding behind karma to keep from taking advantage of these easy targets who literally throw the panties at you. But because you're too scared to do anything about it, you hide behind karma. Anyway, what this woman would do is she would take pictures with a friend of hers with the same outfit at Starbucks or the mall or wherever. Then when she came to see me, her friend would post the picture she took a few days ago on Facebook and tags her and her husband. So he sees the picture of her at Starbucks with the same outfit, so he assumes she's at Starbucks drinking a latte with her bestie, when in actuality, she's in a hotel room with me getting her back blown out. Believe it or not, ladies, most high-value men know you're promiscuous. They know you sleep around. Most don't say it, but they know. Men of value don't have time for this. They're not going to require you to check in because he has better things to do than to be checking up on you all the time. If you want to show him that he can trust you, you have to be proactive. Check in at work with a picture of you at your desk with the caption, "Hey babe, just got to work, got a hefty workload." Before my girlfriend was my girlfriend, she would send me her work schedule so I would know if she was in a meeting, working on a project, or whatever. So if I don't hear from her from 3 to 4, I know she's in a meeting, and even then, she would check in during those meetings. Why did she do this? She wanted there to be zero doubt in my mind that she's doing what she says she's doing. If there is any doubt in a man's mind whatsoever, he is not gonna lock you down. He might not say it, but if you're disappearing for hours at a time with no explanation, eventually, he's gonna pull the ripcord. And do not get it twisted, ladies. High-value men know the BS explanations. We've heard them all. "Oh, my friend is going through a breakup and needs me." Then 4 hours later, she's calling you, telling you she's too tired to come over. Or, "Oh, I got called into work and they really need me." And she texts you the next day telling you, "I fell asleep right when I got home." Again, he's probably not going to call you on it. But when he ghosts on you out of nowhere, you'll be confused as to why he did. Ladies, you are always wondering why a guy who seems to like you all of a sudden goes cold and ghosts on you. Well, it's because you're disappearing for hours at a time, doing God knows what with God knows who. And don't act like we don't know if we're not there, because we do. We're not stupid. Remember, we've been the guy you disappear with plenty of times, so trust me when I tell you, we know. Just because we don't catch you with your hand in the cookie jar doesn't mean we don't know you've stolen a few cookies. So check in periodically to let him know your whereabouts. The more frequent, the better. Number 2, and this is going to eliminate a lot of you. Give him access to your phone. That's right, I said it, ladies. Give him access to your phone. No password, no lock, no facial recognition, no fingerprint scan. A telltale sign a girl is a banana gobbler is if she puts her phone face down all the time or has a lock or code on her phone. Now, some girls might say, well, that's my personal phone. That's my private business. He has no right to that information. And you're right, he doesn't. But he does have the right to dismiss you as a sausage collector if you're hiding things from him. And if you have nothing to hide like all of you say you do, then you'll have no problem giving him access to your phone. It's that simple. Listen, ladies, most cheating is done on your phones. Dating apps, Tinder, OkCupid, Ashley Madison, WhatsApp, Snapchat, you name it, they're out there. Giving him access to your phone alleviates a good amount of the doubt he has about you. Anytime you're at your man's house watching TV or a movie or whatever, and you start messing around on your phone, he's going to assume you're talking to another guy. No, he can't prove what you're doing. He can't prove what you're not doing. But if he's a man with crimson capsule awareness, which is the kind of man you want to be with in the first place, he's going to assume that you're texting someone you shouldn't be texting. Now, some girls might say, well, I could be texting a friend of mine. Yeah, and that friend of yours could be a friends with benefits you're setting a meetup with after you leave his place because you're tired and have to get up early tomorrow. Leave him no doubt and give him access to your phone. If you really want to be with him, if he's really the guy you can see yourself with long term, then you're going to have to give up your privacy and eventually all autonomy. If you don't want to give him access to your phone, fine. That's your choice and that's your right. But do not be surprised when he tells you it's time for the two of you to go your separate ways. If you don't want to give him access to your phone, then you're not ready to be in a relationship of consequence with a man of value. Again, you might have a great relationship with a great guy. You guys might seem solid. Everything is going great. But for some reason, he just won't commit long term. And when you put the squeeze on him to commit, he leaves. And girls always ask why. Why did he leave? Everything was great. He doesn't trust you, that's why. When you're on your phone, you don't think he notices that you turn your phone away from him when he looks in your direction. He knows you're doing that because you're doing things that are not conducive for a long-term relationship. You know, sleeping with other guys, texting ex-boyfriends, past friends with benefits, stuff like that. High-value men will not commit to you if they do not trust you 100%. And by the way, a lot of you are probably first-time listeners or don't follow me on social media. You're probably thinking, okay, Donovan, you're telling us to do all this stuff, but there's no way your girlfriend does this for you. Oh, yes, she does. Everything I'm talking about on this list, she absolutely does. I have full access to her phone. She checks in wherever she goes. She also has a GPS tracker on her phone. I know exactly where she is at all times, and guess what? This was all her idea, not mine. Devin suggested the keylogger and the GPS. She even gave me access to her home security system before we lived together. Again, her idea. I knew when she left home, I knew when she came home, and I had access to the cameras in her apartment. I never asked or required her to do these things because I wasn't thinking about a long-term relationship. She was proactive because she wanted a relationship with me. She did this because she wanted to leave no doubt that I could trust her. But Donovan, that's just too much access. Then you're not ready to be in a relationship of consequence with a man you respect and love. And you want to know what? That's perfectly okay. Look, if you're really not ready to settle down yet, then all of this is going to sound absolutely crazy. But if you meet a guy you know you want to be with long term, you will have no problem doing these things. I need my privacy. You're not ready. I don't need him knowing where I'm at all the time. Well, why not? If you've got nothing to hide, then why not? Because you're sleeping with somebody else and you don't want him to be able to find out. That's why. The only reason you ladies want your privacy is so that you can reserve the option to screw around without him knowing it. That's it. Outside of medical information or serious family stuff, which, by the way, can be handled both over the phone or at the hospital, there is nothing you need to keep private from him except for the fact that you're about to arrange a meetup with your ex or another Tinder date. 2.5 hours gone in the afternoon, you're at your ex's house getting backdoored. 3 hours gone at night, you're on a Tinder date. He will assume this if he knows what's really up. And again, this is the kind of man you want and need in your life. You say this sounds extreme? You're damn right it's extreme, but we live in extreme times and women are extremely promiscuous. And if you're a woman and you really want to be with a man of value, then he has to trust you. Men of value do not commit to women they do not trust. I cannot say that enough. Number 3, give up going to bars or clubs or girls' nights out. I had a good friend in Vegas whose girlfriend was always wanting to go to the bar or the club. He always told her no because he knows they are sausage fests. Now, she was half decent looking, but male thirst makes 5s look like 9s. So as soon as she walks into a bar or the club, she's got sausages hitting her in the face from every direction. The reason she started asking this stuff is because she wanted to find another guy. You see, she had lost attraction for him and wanted to go out and find another branch before letting him go. And by the way, if your girl asks you to go to the bar or club or on a weekend Vegas girls trip or to a concert with friends or any place we all know she'll get male attention, your relationship is already over. Rollo Tomasi and I discussed this a while back. If she asks, she has already lost attraction for you. You may tell her no, and she may heed you. But she'll ask again at some point, and eventually, she'll just go even if you tell her no. You cannot control women, guys. You can only control yourself. If you keep your value high and keep her in line, then you'll reduce the odds of her wanting to go out with her friends and look for male attention. But sometimes, even that's not enough. This is what you're going to have to resolve in your mind to accept. We cannot hold a gun to her head, guys. All we can do is dominate life, set boundaries, and require her to adhere to them. Well, maybe she just wants to go out and have fun, Donovan. Of course she does. She wants to have fun getting pounded out in the bathroom at the club. I had a podcast with a limitable man a while back talking about how girls get together and go to the club. We're just here to have fun and dance. No, you're not. You're there to collect cucumbers. Think I'm off my rocker? Let me ask you this. Would girls ever go to a club if there were no guys allowed? Do you think they'd ever go to a bar for a girls' night out if there were only women there? Of course not. So if you suggest going to the bar or club, ladies, number 1, you're not ready for a relationship, and number 2, you are telling your man you're already looking for his replacement. If you absolutely have to go out drinking and shake your asses with your girlfriends, then you are not ready for a relationship, and again, that's okay. But don't then turn around and complain that he's not committing when you're showing him that you're not ready to commit. Asking him to go to the bar or the club lets high-value men know that you're not relationship material. He'll let you go to the club, then he'll let you go altogether. Number 4, and this is really important, never, ever talk about your sexual past. Now, I know that every woman watching this can certainly get behind this, but not to build his trust. Oh no. You want to cover up your past indiscretions. Women who talk about their pasts with the men they like automatically take themselves out of the running for a long-term relationship. You're not only a sausage collector, you're actually proud of it. Well, what's wrong with sleeping with a few guys? Absolutely nothing. But men of value don't want to know about the threesome you had with Kevin in sales and his manager. We don't want to know about the football team running a train on you in college. We don't want to know that you got smashed by 7 guys in 7 days. Well, what if he asks? A man in demand will never ask you about your sexual past. Why? Because we know you will always lie about it. A telltale sign that a man is high value is a man who doesn't express concern about your sexual past. Guys like us, we know we're going to find out one way or another because most of you can't keep your mouths shut. Most eggplant enthusiasts cannot hide their banana gobbler tells, however covert they may be. At some point, we're going to find out, so we're not going to ask you in the first place. But if you proactively talk about your sexual past, you are taking yourself out of the running to be in a long-term relationship with him. Period. I've dated plenty of girls who have told me how many times they've cheated, who they cheated with, and how they got away with it. Then 3 months later, ask me why we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. Because you bragged about how you cheated on your last 3 boyfriends with their best friends and his boss. That's why. Are you kidding me with this? Are girls really this obvious? They don't realize that as soon as they start telling me these stories, I have already placed them into the friends with benefits category, as in, I'm never going to call you for anything but bedroom fun and bedroom fun alone. Meaning I'm coming over, pounding you out, then leaving. I'm not sticking around to chat. I'm not sticking around to watch TV. I'm getting the booty and then getting the hell out of there because that's all you're good for. Ladies, if you want to increase the odds of a high value man committing to you, Do not talk about your sexual past. He cannot hold something against you that he does not know about. And he can make all the assumptions he wants. You may have been with 30 guys, you may have been with 300. But if you don't tell him, he doesn't know for sure. And if you do the things you need to do to earn his trust and be wary of and eliminate your garden tool tendencies, you're not going to end up telling on yourselves. Girls will handle the notch count question perfectly, but then turn around and be on their phones all the time, or disappear for hours at a time, or talk about another team building trip you took with your boss. And at some point, he's gonna figure you out. Ladies, you also need to be very careful about the stories you tell him that could possibly involve other guys you've been with. Because 5%er or not, men are going to put 2 and 2 together. And if you mention too many stories with too many guys, that "how many guys have you slept with" question is going to come up eventually. Think about what you say before you say it. Don't talk about things that involve guys you've been romantically involved with. And for the love of all things great and small, do not proactively talk about or brag about your party pasts. This immediately eliminates you as a potential candidate for commitment. And when he starts to distance himself, you'll say, "Damn, I let him see my phone, never turned him down for sex, never got out of pocket. Yeah, I may have mentioned Justin at the coffee shop a few times and my boss a couple of times, and we had an open dialogue about our sexual pasts, but why did he not commit?" Well, the reason he dumped you is because you talked about your sexual past. Ladies, y'all are steady complaining about men holding your pasts against you. Why do you always bring up the past? Well, the reason he holds it against you is because you talk about it. High value or not, no man wants to hear about your previous romantic adventures. We don't want to know about how you hooked up with your best friend and her boyfriend when you all got high. We don't want to hear about how you gave a guy fellatio at the club in the bathroom. We don't want to know you got backdoored in the parking lot at work while your boyfriend waited for you inside. We don't want or need to know this stuff. We may laugh and we may chuckle with you, but in the back of our minds, we're thinking, dude, this girl's a freaking garden tool. There's no way I'm getting serious with this chick. Now, at this point, most women are probably thinking, okay, this is kind of extreme, but if this is a guy I really like, I can see myself doing these things to earn his trust. I don't mind checking in so he knows where I am and what I'm doing. I wouldn't mind giving him access to my phone because I want him to know that I'm not up to anything. I really like him, so going to the club or the bar or a weekend girls trip, I can certainly do without, and I can definitely avoid talking about my past because it's something I do with most guys anyway. And if you're thinking this is a woman, good for you. You've made it into the 5% of women who truly understand why proactively building trust is necessary to keep a man in demand around. But I'm about to eliminate all of you with number 5. The 5th way to proactively build ironclad trust with the man you want to be with long term that better than 99.9% of women would never dream of doing: delete all social media. I'll say it again. Delete all of your social media accounts, ladies. Don't deactivate them. Don't put them to sleep. Don't put them on hold. Delete them. Erase them. As in wipe them from existence so you can never sign back in. This is the one that separates the girls who think they want to be in a long-term relationship from the girls who actually do. It's hard enough for a woman to meet these expectations as it is. There's no question about it. I've never said any of this would be easy to do. But deleting all social media will let your guy know that you are all in. Social media platforms have quite literally destroyed you, ladies. Not only are you addicted to the constant validation you get from posting pictures of yourselves, your affairs, your cheating, and your hookups with old flames start and are facilitated by social media. And people act surprised when they hear that women use social media to cheat. Well, what do you expect to happen when girls advertise themselves? The same thing that happens when a company advertises their product. They get customers. And ladies, you need to get rid of all of them. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, everything. You have to have zero online presence. If a man Googles your name, all that should come up are advertisements for background checks and arrest records. That's it. A woman who is on social media is a woman who is still on the market, and high-value men know and understand this very clearly. Social media is for male attention, and you know it. If you really want to be with him, then you have no need for male attention. Can I check it once a month? No. Once a month turns into once a week, and that turns into once a day. Then before you know it, you're back on social media. How will I stay in touch with friends and family? Call or text them. If they're that important to you, you'll have their phone number anyway, and they'll have yours. You want to separate yourself from all of the other women he's seeing? You want to show him that you're serious about him? You want to ensure that he never doubts or mistrusts you? This is the ultimate sign of a woman who is truly all in. Now again, I know a lot of you are saying, Donovan, you're crazy, you're off your rocker, I will never do this. And that's fine. No one's saying you have to do this. But if you have found a man you know is worth committing to long term, then this is what's necessary. And every woman knows a high value man when they see one. A woman's promiscuous past and the inability to pair bond with guys anymore does not strip them of the ability to know when a guy is high value or not. They can spot a fake a mile away. They only ignore their instincts when they're desperate, lonely, or horny. But if you really want this man to take you seriously as a woman he can trust and see himself with long term, then these are the things that are necessary. And if you do these things proactively, this definitely lets him know that you are serious. Because how many women have suggested any one of these things to him? That's right, none. And if you're the one who goes to him and says, listen, babe, I'm going to put spy software on my phone, give you access to my account so that you can see that I'm faithful to you at all times, that's going to make an impression on him. And if you can keep it up for an extended period of time and let him see that you're not just faking the funk, you'll get that long-term commitment you are looking for. Again, I want to make clear that most 5%ers, most men of value, aren't going to tell you that these are their requirements. I would even go as far as to say that most men of value don't realize how much these measures would increase their trust with any particular woman. But if you are proactive in your approach, and again, this is assuming that you want to be in a relationship with him, if you do these things without having to be asked to do them, it clearly tells these men that you are serious about building and keeping his trust, and that you are serious about being in a rock-solid relationship that is built on trust. You're not only going to drastically increase the odds of him committing to you, you're going to separate yourself from 99.999% of women out there. Here's another tip. Do not advertise these things to your girlfriends. There's no need to hide this from them, but what you do to gain and maintain your man's trust is your business, unless of course they come to you for advice. I'm not saying go hide around the corner to check in with your man so they don't see. No, check in with him when necessary. They're not going to be worried about what you're doing on your phone anyway. By the same token, there's no need to broadcast it either. Okay, I'm checking in with Donovan. The reason I'm telling you not to advertise this stuff is because your friends are not in the 0.01% of women who understand why these things are necessary. All they're going to do is tell you what a fool you are to committing to such a controlling, possessive man and toxic masculinity and misogyny and all the rest of that. Never mind that you're doing this of your own free will and volition. Your friends will assume that he is forcing you to do these things because you're doing something most women just don't do on their own. What you're doing is not typical of the typical female. How you keep your man's trust is your business. Again, there's no need to hide it, but there's no need to advertise it either. Now, if your girlfriend comes to you and says, hey, Sarah, I noticed that you and Derek have a rock-solid relationship and he really genuinely trusts you. How can I get Eric to trust me like Derek trusts you? Then you can tell her. But giving your friends unsolicited advice in this regard is always a bad idea. I tell my guys all the time, you can't give your friends this kind of advice if they don't ask you for it. You can't just start talking about these concepts out of the blue because they always balk at it and look at you like you're crazy. Ladies, your girlfriends are going to do exactly the same thing. If you just say out of the blue, I let Donovan know where I am and what I'm doing at all times, they'll accuse you of humble bragging and your message gets lost and subsequently invalidated by them. Not that it would anyway, but unsolicited advice has never been effective in any capacity. Now, some women might ask, well, what if I do all these things, but he still won't commit? Well, that probably means one of two things. A, he's not ready to commit, and B, he doesn't like you enough to commit to you. Some high-value men are just not ready to be in relationships yet. They're happy with the bachelor lifestyle, and they will settle down when they are damn good and ready. Now, maybe he'll grow out of that phase like most men do at some point, or maybe he won't. There are some guys out there who will never want to be in a committed relationship, and if that's the case, there's nothing you can do about that. So at that point, you have a choice to make. You can either stick around and wait for him to be ready while continuing to keep his trust, or you can go your separate ways. Look, ladies, I get it. You don't want to spend your prime years waiting on a man who doesn't want a committed relationship, and I don't blame you. And even though these techniques will make an impression on him, it's not the silver bullet. It's not the cheat code. If a man isn't ready to commit, he's not going to no matter what you do. That's life. Now, the other end of the spectrum is that he's not committing to you because he doesn't like you enough to commit to you. Okay, he trusts you 100%, but maybe you're overweight. Maybe he doesn't like your family. Maybe he doesn't see a future with you. Maybe you can't cook. Maybe you won't cook. Maybe you're not feminine enough. Maybe you're only doing 3 of the 5 things I've talked about today consistently. Or maybe he likes another woman he's seeing more than he likes you. She could be younger, prettier, cooks better. I mean, who knows? There could be any number of reasons he doesn't like you enough to commit to you. But like I said, this isn't the cheat code. If you want to increase the odds of him liking you enough to commit, then maximize the things that are under your control. Hitting the gym and watching your diet to maintain a great figure, learning to cook, dressing more feminine, being more available to him, being kinder, having a more docile position. There are a lot of things that are under your control that you can improve to increase his attraction to you. In the end, ladies, this is what's necessary to swing the odds in your favor in terms of getting him to commit. Like I said before, most men will not ask you to do these things, but if you are proactive about it, you'll show him just how serious you are and ready you are for a relationship. Maybe he's not ready to commit, maybe he'll never commit, or maybe he just doesn't like you enough to commit. But nothing in life is guaranteed. And if you want to increase the odds, then these are the things that are necessary. As I said before, most of you won't do all of these things consistently. Oh, sure, some of you will do some of these things some of the time. Some of you might do all of these things sometimes, and some of you might do all of these things at separate times for short periods of time. And while that might be beneficial to you in the short term, it is not going to serve you in the long term. But just like you know which men fake their high value, we know women who are wholesome pretenders, as Alan Roger Curry puts it. We are very adept at picking up on a woman's patterns. And if you're not doing all of these things consistently, then don't be surprised when we don't commit. Get a free copy of my ebook, 16 Ways to Disqualify Her for a Long-Term Relationship. Just subscribe to my newsletter and the book is yours. Go to donovansharp.com/newsletter. The link